Well, hello, thank you for joining me today again on the Church History Trail. We're continuing here in Gracehill, and what we're going to look at now is actually Gracehill's connection to the 1798 rebellion. You see, the duties of the Gracehill minister, that's of the Moravian Church, included the keeping of a diary, and this actually dates from 1765, and the custom actually continues today. And so it's fantastic that we have this, because it gives us great detail of what was happening, and the entries actually provide a great insight into local life and also the impact on a much wider scale of national events upon the Gracehill area. Now, entries include fears about the potato famine of 1845, details of the celebrations following Nelson's victory at the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805, but it also includes a commentary on the role of Gracehill during the United Irishmen's Rebellion in 1798. And 1798, of course, was a turbulent time, with rumours of uprisings, reprisals, and also rumours of a French invasion. And Gracehill was actually seen as a place apart, such that when hostilities actually erupted, many from both sides actually sought sanctuary here, because there was many who didn't want to get involved in it and didn't want to be caught up in it either. And one of the diaries from June 7, 1778 says, reports came from all quarters that the United Irish were rising in the district, and soon they were observed marching over the fields with pikes, guns and pistols towards Randallstown with intention to take Antrim. Some of the boarding school parents removed their girls. Those left were in fear and terror. And of course, we're coming up to the boarding school now, because this was the boarding school. And that was the hotel where some of the parents and girls would have stayed as well. That was the hotel settlement. But this was the actual boarding school for the girls. And so some of the parents removed their children, which is understandable, during the 1798 rebellion. And so the United Irishmen, they took Randallstown, but were repulsed at Antrim with the loss of 200 lives. It says, in the evening, after a fierce short engagement, they took Ballymena. Our evening meetings, this is the Moravian Church, of course, our evening meetings, it's talking about, was unusually numerous, as people from the country came for safety. And so the minister during that time says that people were actually coming to Gracehill for safety, and they were coming then to take part in the services here. And you can see the church there at Gracehill. That's the Moravian Church where the people would have gathered, and I'm sure it was a very fearful time. But where I'm going to take you now is actually to the monument. And I'm going to let you see the monument, because there's a monument set up here to remember the time of the 1798 rebellion. And so that's what we're going to look at now. And as I say, that was the settlement hotel, and that there was the actual boarding school. And of course that building there was built in 1774. So pretty old. Now, on the 10th of June 1798, the diary says, the inhabitants in Ballymena, apprehending that the King's army was moving towards them, expecting that the town would be reduced to ashes like Randallstown, hastened to carry their goods out of town. Many carts came soon into our place, the Moravian settlement. We could have no preaching in the forenoon on account of so many. Fugitives, women and children were met with kind reception and were fed by us. And it says, when our place appeared to all around us as the only spot of safety, many retired to it as a city of refuge, and we lodged and fed them during their danger without making any distinction of there being either our friends or foes. The hearts of many who had hated us and even designed our destruction were turned. And so this is the monument here. And so Gracehill actually became in the Old Testament, what's known as a city of refuge, a city of safety. And of course the Old Testament city of refuge is a type of Christ. In other words, we need to flee to Christ for safety. And so basically that's what they were saying, that Gracehill here became a city of refuge for those caught up in the 1798 rebellion who wanted to escape it. And so this is a monument, a pretty good monument, isn't it? It's great to have this monument. You can see the cannonballs there. So pretty cool. Fantastic. And it says, Gracehill, 10th of June 1798, when our place appeared to all around us as the only spot of safety, many retired to it, as I read out there, as a city of refuge, and we lodged and fed them during their danger without making any distinction of there being either our friends or foe. And then it says, the hearts of many who had hated us and even designed our destruction were turned. So that's Gracehill Settlement Diary. So that, what I read earlier there just a few moments ago, is actually the diary of that diary. Was the words of that diary were actually put here on this wee monument, which I think is absolutely fantastic, as you can see. And so what you're looking at there is actually a reproduction of part of the diary of the 10th of June 1798 from Gracehill. And what a wee fantastic monument that is, as you can see. And there's one more wee billboard that I'm going to read to you. And I mentioned it on the other video, but I didn't read it to you in the other video because I said I was doing another wee video, which is this one, on the 1798 rebellion. And it's actually up at the entrance here. You can see the pond there with the fountain. Fantastic. That's the fountain. And in Moravian circles, the fountain represents Jesus, the eternal water of life. So we're heading up here then just towards the church, the Moravian church. And there's not too many Moravian churches in Northern Ireland. But if you check out my playlist, I've done a number of videos on the Kilwarlin Moravian Church. Of course, they've got a recreated battle scene from the Persians and the Greek period. And it was a Greek chieftain, the minister, who really, who the Lord used to, really breathe life into the church there, in the assembly there. There's about 6 people whenever the minister came, Sula. But certainly the Lord used them to increase it. So this is the billboard here. And it says, the 1798 walk. Gracehill is the only complete Moravian settlement in Ireland, and 1975 became the first designated conservation area in Northern Ireland. The duties of the Gracehill minister include keeping a diary. This dates from 1765, and the custom continues to this day. The entries provide an insight into the local life and also the impact of national events in the area. Entries include fears about the potato famine of 1845, details of the celebration following Nelson's victory at the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805, and a commentary on the role of Gracehill in the United Irish Men's Rebellion in 1798. And it says there, 1798 was a turbulent time with rumours of uprisings and reprisals and a French invasion. And then it says Gracehill was seen as a place apart, such that when hostilities erupted, many on both sides sought sanctuary here. It is recorded that on Sunday the 10th of June 1798, many knelt down together in our place to thank God for his care of them all. And then it says in 2014, a scheme of restoration was undertaken to reinstate some of the historic features of the square, including the walks and the central pond. The path includes an obelisk that commemorates the events of June 1798, which I just showed you, when this place was a refuge for all. Gracehill remains a place where all will find a welcome. And so there you are, and of course that's the church. So join me in the next wee video, because I'm going to talk about John Sennick, who was a Moravian evangelist, and he was the first evangelist to come to Ballymena. So make sure you join me for that one. Again, thanks for watching, and God bless.